Hey everyone, this is Erath with SoCal GG. I wanted to take some time to show you guys another game because everybody is waiting for Dominion 6 to be released right now. We've also wrapped up our finals game, so I had a little bit extra time to do some more videos and to start playing another game while I wait for that as well. Because, Dominion's games could take like 3 months plus, and so if people know it's going to be released in like the next couple months, then there's just a different feel with the games right now. So in any case, this is Shadow Empire. Several players in Dominions had recommended this game to me, and I'm going to go over why I really like this game. It's on sale right now, and we're just now getting our own little community set up to start doing some multiplayer games with this. So I'm hoping we can get a bit of surge of popularity here. So let's dip into this and see what makes this game different than other games. So let's go ahead and start a new game here. And we're going to start this off by showing one of the core features to this game, which is the planet generation. There's a whole host of different planets you could get. Some with a lot of water, some with a lot of land, life, no life. I'm going to do unclassified. These are different scenarios with which the world had ended. This is a post apocalypse planetary domination game. That's what the whole theme is. It's after the apocalypse had happened, and you are trying to take over the planet using what might be old technology or new technology, depending on what you roll with. So I'm going to run through here and start us off at Tech 4. And we could see here it starts generating the planet in several of its parameters. These parameters have a massive impact on how you'll be able to play the game. Different gravity might affect what kind of aircraft you could use here, what kind of bullets you can use here. Temperature can affect everything, just everything in so many ways. The amount of sun you get could affect your solar panels. This theme that you're going to notice here is there is tons of depth to all of these mechanics. But the cool thing is you could play it at a surface level and still have fun. That's one thing I really like about this. So I'm just going to roll with whatever the hell I'm getting here just to show you guys. So let's see, it's generated this planet behind us. It shows us a different geology, the wind speed, the rainfall affects how much water we could get to drive into our economy for whatever reasons we need water. Now, what's also cool about this game is in its core, I believe it's a resource and logistics management game. But in how it's handled and how it looks like a 20-dimensional chess strategy game. So it's really cool because those layers build into each other. It could be played shallow, but it has its roots very deep. So let's go ahead and click through here. And wow. Okay. So in this case, I don't even know what this yellow is. Is that vegetation? I think it is. This is a frozen over map with some oceans revealed. I bet you there's some maritime trade houses or some trade ships that are in here that could be interacted with. Let's actually continue along here. Tons of different details on its generation and why this planet is the way it is. Different hazard exposure, near instant death. So if your guy's suit gets breached, they'll die. And the idea behind this game is it was colonized at a certain point. This planet was like maybe it was a hub of some sort. Let's actually see, what was it. These are the chemical compositions of the planet. And again, all of this impacts everything. Oh, dang. That's a lot of people. So this was an extremely populated planet. Um, that's pretty cool. And so that's how the planet was founded, why it got all popular, and then why it got blown to smithereens. So, we just went from 100, 1,200 million or a billion people down to less than a million. So this is quite the apocalypse that had happened here. It tells you how this apocalypse happened. So that previous screen shows you how it became colonized, how it became the planet that it was known in its peak, in its high time. The quadrant capital decided to extend a penile colony on this planet. A lot of interesting things. Xeno mushrooms for the restaurant capital. I don't know. But now you could see there's a lot of bad things happening. This is explaining the downfall. Enemies of Rabara have nuked it. Terrible earthquakes. So there's probably, yeah, there's a radioactive um, frozen mountains over here. Let's actually look at this map. So this is a pretty cool one. Um, Talk about a lot of different things going on. Whoa, look at these ruins. So this was like a massive part of their civilization that was destroyed. This must have been a huge coastal city, and now that's going to be the starting place of one of these cities, is amongst all these ruins. So you'll probably find some goodies from the Galactic Republic that once controlled these parts. You could find their leftover equipment. Again, some really big hubs there. We got some sand dunes. So this is a super diverse generation of this planet. Guessing these are like the little pockets of vegetation that's left after this. Sometimes you'll get heavy forests, sometimes you don't. Again, it's all part of the appeal. Is it's extremely random. So let's go ahead and see what it's like to just fire this guy off, and you're like, well, how would humans be alive at this point if the atmosphere is near instant death? This is sci-fi. So this is kind of using future tech to say, well, if they colonized this planet in the first place, then clearly they must have had the tools to be able to do this. So at this point, if you're left on this planet, this would have been, life for you. Nobody would be here without those survival suits. So you'll see that your starting civilians actually have that on them to protect themselves, because otherwise it'd be kind of dumb if you started and everybody just instantly vaporizes or dies, despite there being hundreds of millions of people here before, right? It's assumed they have the equipment to survive that. So I really like that detail, actually, because it changes the way your game goes. Okay, just this is just setting up your game. You could pick what kind of profile of government you want. I'm just going to click through here. Are we research focused? Are we a meritocracy, a democracy, a autocracy? So the way this game works out is it gives you a kind of report of all the big things in the beginning with funny art, and you get cards that you could play from points. These cards and points are generated from cabinet members. You make all these decisions. You get lots of decisions you make, and it starts trickling down throughout the game and how that affects you. Like, if I make this decision, our democracy score goes up. This guy likes this guy doesn't like this decision. Oh, it's the same guy. So your leaders have different beliefs and profiles, and you could just pick what you want your profile to eventually be. Sometimes you're chosen a rock and a hard place. You build your research councils here. Again, this is not a play guide. This is just to show you kind of what happens. A nomadic trader offers ammunition. We could buy it off of him if we need it. Well, we've got plenty of ammo. I don't care. So in either case, this is just starting out. Now, we started in these ruins. It looks like I didn't get that juicy spot, but we could make do. So it's the way this game works is you move unit cards around. You can fight other nations and their troops, and you try to take over the world. So that's the general concept. But I want to focus on why it's different. It's different because it's very free form. So if I hide this here, you can see my city. We could build a city anywhere we want. We could colonize anywhere we want using our civilians and how we get them. And These cities have quite a lot of management that goes on in them. You could These are a list of buildings down here you can see below. And there's a private economy that works in the background. It's super cool. There's a few different private sectors. Yeah, watch out, Peaches. All the dogs are sniffing me for some reason. What are you guys doing? Um, if you hear jingling, that's them all walking around. So, in any case, it's a very adaptive and versatile game. And I like how you have to adapt the meta with where you are. So we could see this is an icy place with a lot of mountains around us. Very difficult to construct roads through mountains. And that's a cool thing too, is the logistics network is extremely important. We have trucks over here that are outputting logistics down this line. So our troops, and you can see this color gradient I have, it shows you how far they could go before they start to starve or run out of supplies. And each troop retains different supplies differently. So, and this is what's cool about the game is if you wanted, you could be very casual and you could mostly click around and you could be like, okay, I'm going to find my neighbors and I'm going to bop them on the head, right? Let's bring this guy down here, discover all these hexes, and see what we could see. Maybe we'll find somebody eventually. But you could also get into hyper detail if you want. There's town management. There's, like I said, a background economy that goes on. There's cults. There's trade fleets, and your cabinet, and it all impacts you in a certain way. So it's very cool because it's an adaptive game, and I'm going to show you this by loading into another save, and you can see just how different things can look from here. A big aspect of this I want to go over is the tech levels and how that impacts this game. From what I could tell, the heart of this game is kind of a mix between a Civ game like Civilization and Hearts of Iron. It's not either of those independently, but it does take a lot of elements of that, except with significantly more emphasis on logistics, resource management, and just depth in its mechanics in general. So let's go ahead and exit this one. Actually, no, one more thing. The tech level. Your starting tech level really changes the way that your starts go. If I started on this very basic tech level, you might be at risk of things like animals in the wilds that have also been randomly generated. They're pretty cool. Or marauders enslaving your people. And you'll only have like a few of these. You might not even have like propeller engines or automatic rifles. You might just have carbines. You might just barely be discovering farming. So at that point in low tech, this game I have up right now would be pretty much like a survival game. And once you get near the end of it, it becomes more like World War One, heavy infantry based, artillery. I could show you in the model design actually what it would kind of look like with that. And this is cool too. You could custom design anything you want. So if we were at basic tech, we would maybe have our infantry, some trucks, which maybe we don't even have fuel for yet. Um, Probably wouldn't have any of these tanks or things set up quite yet, or the econ to support them. Wouldn't have aircraft too. So if this was started on a lower tech setting, it would be survival emphasis and the end game kind of looking like World War One. Infantry lines, artillery, and it still depends on your planet generation because for example, if we don't have food or fuel, or let's say we have a severe excess of one of those, it completely changes the way you could play the game. So now I'll hop into some of those other saves that we could take a peek at. Let's go in here. Just saved a few to give you a different idea. Okay, so in this save, this is actually a series of connected islands, or non-connected islands, my bad. This is using the Oceania DLC, which I like because it's just, again, more variables and more cool interactions to give you different scenarios. In this case, I have things like laser equipped infantry. I have these guys, which are pretty cool, mechanized quad MG with assault laser rifles. So this is AA with rapid fire lasers attached to it. And so this is a very different game. Like I have plasma jet bombers that I had online at some point. So, and you could have nuclear silos, that sort of stuff. So when you start off here, it's kind of like Borderlands. And I mean that in, like, there's it's craggy wastelands, it's tough survival situations. Maybe you're in the snow, and there's not much set up. By the end of it, looks like World War One. In here, this is like tech level 4. We're looking more at World War Two, and that's when you'll start seeing stuff like the different types of tanks showing up, maybe mechanized artillery, rocket launchers, missile launchers, helicopters, that sort of stuff. And then high tech, you'll get like walkers. You'll get. Um, Let me hop in here so I can show you some. Actually, I don't think I have. I went walkers for this, but I have like mobile and wide area shield generators to protect groups of troops from major assaults, and thopters, different types of missile and SAM launchers. There's a lot of cool stuff. Plasma jets. So like these guys, laser motorcycle. Check out that dude's cool get up. Um, Laser motorcycle riders. So, and what's cool is by the time you get there, the way the map is different has changed the way you could play so significantly. In this case, I've ran out of metal supplies. Oh, well, this is an earlier save, I guess, or maybe I have it online actually. So I've had to set up a separate economy that attracts metal from the ground to try and use like a lower stream of metal input, but requires significant high tech parts to be able to produce. And now I have to have a high tech industry to be able to upgrade those little setups. Otherwise, there's not enough metal to go around, and I would just logistically fade from existence. So it's cool because it's very different how you have to play these maps because the planets are so different. So let's hop into another one just to give you guys an idea. So let's quit this one. Load into this guy. So that was an island planet. This one is a full ice planet, actually. The oceans are completely frozen over, and I'm having a war over this logistics network over here that's eventually leading into their city back here. And the way combat works is you get your unit cards either adjacent or distant, because you could have artillery, missiles, or even like nuclear weapon silos to be able to launch on the enemy. In this case, when you fight, it's got very detailed attributes that go into all of these units, as well as the terrain. Like if I hover over this, you can see a lot of different parameters of how a glacier impacts these units and what they could do. And it matters if they're tracked, foot soldiers, aircraft. So you see a little 10 round battle report that goes through of the units exchanging fire. You can see that they're in retreat right now. They backed off. There's very detailed reports you could get into if you want. But that's what I mean by you could play this at a surface level very easily. Could do some air recon here. Let's see. Send them over to build up recon points. So if I use ranged attacks, I could now hit them pretty darn well. Like artillery to better locate them by using my air recon. So I got these new logistics lines set up here. And if an enemy cuts this off or cuts both of these off, then all my troops would starve out and die. Um, I could get like an air bridge set up to help supply them if they get starved out. So there's a lot of detail that you could get into, but you don't exactly need it to play. What's cool is on this map, since the conditions were so harsh, I mean, everything's frozen and there is no life on this planet. So there's no fuel and you can't farm outside. So what I had to do is I had to create agricultural domes, farming communities. And because there's no fuel, I had to use these farming communities to create a biofuel depot. So I'm basically turning my food processed from farming domes into fuel to support my tank line and my truck and my troops. So I'm fighting a war based off of food, which is pretty cool because there's so many different ways to fight these wars because you have all this cool technology to fight it with different resources and tech. Like these volcanoes, you could tap into them for volcanic energy if you needed them. um, there's so many different ways you can go about providing a new resource line to support your war economy and your logistics network. And that's what I like, is because you really develop the roots that allow you to play it at a surface level. So we'll just hop in and check out one more, just so you guys could see some neat and different stuff. Again, all these planets are going to look different. It's going to play different every time. This is a heavily forested map. We've got our enemies down in the south. We've extended our logistics networks all over here. You could build trains in between these points if you wanted to. Could change from regular roads to sealed roads. And we could see I'm supporting a much larger, kind of like a circular front going on here. I must have recently captured something on this side and preparing to fight my enemy down here. In this particular game, I ended up taking to the end. I ended up using nuclear silos to support my front line and take down most of the enemies, but I ended up using heavy tanks to fully cap them. So there's so many different ways to play it. And that's what I really enjoy about these games. You could customize your units, you could customize your cabinet, your government. Like here, I'm a little bit more autocratic, and that helps generate different strategy cards for me to use. I've invested into my private economy, so the corporations start giving me tech. Although there's downsides to it too, like your happiness goes down as the corporations gain more control. So it's it's really neat because, yeah, I don't know if you played deck builder strategies before, but you build your deck generation as you play, and then you reinvest it into a very open and fluid gameplay. Is very management and resource management based, but it gives you all this cool technology to get around it and build armies the way you want to, or maybe couldn't have on another planet. So hopefully that gives you guys a basic idea of what this game is like. I know I didn't get too much into what's going on, like fighting these other factions and vying for control and how to actually play it. That could be for another time. But I hope this shows you why it's different and why personally I enjoy it. And I'm going to start getting more invested into the multiplayer aspect here. So I haven't played multiplayer yet. I've only played single player a fair amount now, and I'm really looking forward to it. Although I've heard it's kind of slow because the turns are non simultaneous, but it's kind of like Dominions in that you could do like a turn every day sort of deal, which works really great for my schedule. So I hope you guys like that, and yeah,